What is up, you guys, and welcome back to the Walk with Faith podcast. I'm super excited this week. We have Courtney Helfert on.
Hi, guys.
And we are going to talk about godly friendships this week. I feel like this is something that's very, relevant in, everybody's lives. At all ages, I feel like it's really relevant. So, yeah, as I ask every guest, I'm going to have you tell me your 3 words that describe you before Christ and 3 words that describe you after.
Okay, definitely before Christ, I would say I felt really alone, unfulfilled, and then unsaved. And then after committing my life to Christ, I definitely feel surrounded, meaningful, and redeemed.
Alone is good. I feel like that's very relatable. I feel like a lot of people have said something related to that. I feel like most people feel really just alone, and they say there's something missing and they don't know what's missing. So it's really cool once you just kind of find that. But yeah, we can go ahead and just kind of dive right into the topics. Like I said, I feel like the whole friendship thing is very relevant in everybody's lives. I feel like that's even something I struggle. Obviously, all of my friends, we all are pursuing the Lord and have a relationship with Him. But I feel like even at times, some of the things we do, I'm that's just so not I don't know, just the boys in our friend group and stuff. I'm what?
Yeah. I think it's definitely hard, especially in high school too, because you're surrounded by the same people every day, all the time. So it's really hard to get away from friendships that might be toxic to you and stuff.
Yeah, especially because you don't want to befriend everybody, because you still want to be friends with everybody, but it's the line between being friends at school and being friends outside of school.
Right, yeah.
I don't know. And then also being friends within your sport. So obviously you do track and field, so
yeah, I think it's really hard to separate what you're doing in the beginning to sports and then hanging out outside of school. It's just hard to figure out where the line is for certain friendships.
Yeah. Okay, so I had a couple questions just prepared that we can kind of talk about. The first one was, what does a healthy friendship even look like? I feel like this just needs to be completely explained from the get-go, just kind of what we're talking about, I guess. But not even just a healthy relationship, but a healthy, godly friendship. So what are just some characteristics that you would say?
I think definitely I've realized in my friendships where talking bad about someone, you obviously shouldn't be talking bad about people, but instead explaining what someone did and how that hurt your feelings, rather than just turning around and bashing on the person who might have hurt you. Instead talking about how that affected your feelings rather than talking bad about the other person.
That's something good. I feel like gossip, it's so easy to get caught up in, even myself, there's so many times, obviously I'm not in high school anymore, but I feel every day, you have, the lunch table at high school. We still even have that at college. Me and my friends, it's almost the same people every day. We're still eating lunch together. And, there'll be times, everybody's just talking, so, bad about just all these different people. I'm what? Would you be saying that if they're sitting right here at the table? Mm-hmm. And, it's so hard to, pull yourself out of the conversation, because, you don't want to just, sit there and not say anything. But, that's, the only thing I, kind of know. I don't know. I feel I don't want to partake, but I don't want to, rude, saying you need to quit or whatever. I want to politely be okay, this isn't right. But it's just, how do I, go
do
about that?
Yeah, I think that's definitely difficult. Trying to be friends with people, but then trying to support other people and just trying to be a good person all around whenever you're trying to fight for what you believe in, and then still have friends,
Yeah, especially nowadays, even just not even friendships, but I guess just your peers. Still a friendship, but not outside of school friendship. Just because everybody's beliefs are so different nowadays, and there's so many different things, and we were just talking about this, this is Pride Month or whatever, and what the heck, I don't know, there's just so many different things, and it's I don't want to force Christianity onto you, but also I want to let you know what's out there,
even within Christianity, there's so many different things. My parents' boss is Pentecostal, so going to a Pentecostal church different. Is so different than even the Free Methodist Church compared to a Baptist church and that kind of stuff. So even within Christianity, I feel it's really hard to support everyone and then be okay with differences within different branches of Christianity.
Yeah, that can be really. I feel me and somebody else, I'm not going to say, but we were just talking about that the other day, is like Pentecostal and like that kind of sort of religion, just like some of the things they do, I just like look at it like just like things. I mean, I know there is also different branches of like Pentecostal and like whatever, but like some of them, like they do like that like flopping on the ground and like all that kind of stuff, and like I don't know, to me just like I'm just like I get scared by like seeing stuff like that, because I'm just like that just doesn't even like, I don't know, with what I believe in, that just doesn't even make sense to me, and like I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's so cool to like see how like God moves and like how the Holy Spirit moves in like different churches and stuff, because some people aren't used to that. Like in my church, we don't like speak in tongues and that kind of stuff. So going to a church that does is like super mind blowing to me, and I'm like, this is crazy.
It's kind of cool seeing like all the different things. Like I don't know. There's so many different things that I just like. Even like at college, like even within our like Ignite ministry, there is different types of people, which like we don't have like any Pentecostal people that go there, I don't think. But just like even like within that, different people's beliefs and stuff. And like one of the things is like praying on your knees. So like whenever I grew up like in the Catholic Church, like you always like if you're not on your knees, you're not praying kind of thing. And so that, and then once I like kind of went to chrysalis and all that stuff, and I was like, oh, like I don't need to do that anymore. But then sometimes now just like I guess through just like seeing through other people and like their beliefs and hearing about it and things like that, it can be like really cool just like getting down on your knees and praying. Like it's a different type of like feeling, because like obviously like you can pray while you're driving, you can pray laying in bed, you can pray whatever, but it just feels very like
you're with God, I think.
It's very just like purposeful. I feel like you're more intent, that's the word. You're more like kind of zoned into what you're doing. So I don't know, there's just so many different things, and yeah, it's really cool to see, but I don't even know how we got onto that, but yeah, just I don't know, it's just really cool just seeing everybody's different beliefs and stuff nowadays. But sometimes it can be hard to like draw that line of like who you want to be friends with, and basing on their beliefs and things like that. Like there's just like even people in my life, there's like things I'm like, yeah, like I don't agree with what you're doing, but like I'm still gonna be your friend.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, that's just, I don't know, I feel like it's just really hard to kind of do that. And like one of the questions I had also was just like, how do you like set boundaries in a godly relationship, like, or friendship, not relationship, but
I think it's definitely hard, because like with school and that kind of stuff, you have so many different friends, and so like recently I figured out that like my closest friends really aren't from my school, but rather like people that I met through chrysalis, or like my church camp that I go to. My best friend Lexi, she lives like 2 hours away, but like that doesn't stop us from being like super close and stuff. And so I think that like being able to know that you can talk about Jesus anytime is like something that I really look for in a friendship. Like someone who isn't going to be like, oh, you like you do talk to God, you read your Bible and stuff like that, but someone who's like really open to that, be like, oh my gosh, that's so cool, like what have you learned and stuff, rather than someone who's gonna be like, what?
But also like within our friend group, like my North Posey, kind of like that friend group, obviously like we're all like Christians, we're all very like religious people, but also like we can have a good time talking about the Lord, going to Bible studies and things like that, but like we can also have a good time just hanging out by the pool, you know what I mean? Like, also, I feel like some people are like, oh, well, that type of like friendship, like you guys always have to be talking about the Lord, you always have to be like doing something like that, but like that's so not true. Like you can glorify the Lord in everything that you do, like literally just us just hanging out, having a good time, like different things like that. Like I don't know, I feel like that's just even better than what some other people do, you know what I mean? Like pool parties with like drinking and things like that, like that's just not us, obviously. But I feel like at one point it was very hard. Like people would be very, very judgmental about like your faith, but I feel like it's getting a lot easier nowadays, and like people are starting to kind of like accept it to where like, yeah, like, okay, like you believe what you believe, but like I don't have to believe that. And everybody's kind of starting to be okay with that, which is nice. Just like, I feel like it can be very hard when people are judgmental and stuff like that, because then you just like, you get pushed down and you don't want to like do all the things. But whenever people are just like, oh, like that's cool, but I don't agree with you, and that's okay, we can still be friends.
I think it's hard, or it used to be really hard for me to like talk about God at school and that kind of stuff, but realizing that just because you have friends who don't necessarily like walk with the Lord every day, there are people who are going to build you up like no matter what. And so I think that's really good to like notice no matter where you're at in your life. I think it's really good to like be able to just be with the Lord.
Yeah, and you can like bring that, like you can bring it up within any type of conversation. This kind of makes me think of like the other, like we were just talking about the bad storms, and me and Charlie had went downstairs just to kind of watch it, and there's this schizophrenic guy that lives over here, and I like, he's always just like cussing and screaming and yelling because he's schizophrenic. Like he doesn't even know that he's doing that.
Yeah.
But he was down here watching the storms, and he was like, he's the most chill guy ever when he's not like having his little like whatever it's called. But even talking to him, like he had this like Christian shirt on, and I didn't even realize it. And he like just brought it. We were just watching the storms, and was like, oh, like the sky looks so pretty and stuff. And he like literally was bringing up the Lord in that conversation. And I was like, that is so cool. Like he honestly was kind of like giving like his testimony away. Like he was just saying about how like all the stuff that he's been through, like getting addicted to like different drugs and things like that. And then like him and his wife split up because like he was like one person would get clean and the other person would not be clean, and they would drag the clean person down. And like they just kind of went through a pattern of that, and they ended up getting a divorce. But I don't know, it's just really cool how like God works in everybody's lives. Like obviously like he's schizophrenic and he like has little fits and cusses and does all these things, but like he doesn't really know, like he can't help that. But like also like he's able to see the Lord through that to get him like through his like illness, I guess, which is like, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think like planting the seed is so big. Like me and my sister have really been talking about it because the college that she went to like wasn't necessarily like the best environment for her, but she did like meet girls that where she could plant the seed, where they could grow closer to the Lord and that kind of stuff. So I think that even if it's not a godly friendship right now, who knows if it could be eventually.
Yes.
So I think that's like important to not give up your friends no matter where they're at in their life, where their walk is, what their walk is looking like, but knowing that God's with them even if they're not chasing him too.
That was good. That was so, yes, that's so valid though. I feel like whenever I first went through Chrysalis, so I was good friends with these two girls. I'm sure you know who they are. I'm not going to say it. Anyways, I was really good friends with them, and, you know, they kind of were like the party drinking scene, and I like, before, like, I mean, I didn't even really do that before, but I was just like, oh, like, whatever, like, I'm, like, at that moment, before Chrysalis, I was like, whatever, I don't care. But then after, I was like, oh, I'm not going to be your friends, I don't want to be around this, blah, 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 and then, like, I don't know, I just feel like that was so, like, off-putting because, like, you can still be friends with them and you can still plant that seed. And then it was really cool to see because then one of them later on, I ended up, like, we kind of, like, were friends again, and, like, she started, like, going to the Lord and things like that, which was cool. But now that I've been at school and things like that, we haven't really hung out, and I feel like she started to kind of go off again. But I don't know, either way, it's just kind of really cool to see how like those little seeds, and like a lot of times like you do it unintentionally, like sometimes it is very intentional, but other times like you don't even like think about it, and then you're like, whoa, like what? They're like, oh, like you like mean so much to me, you've helped me this, and I'm like, what? Like, no, I didn't even do that.
Yeah, I think recently too, I've just been really intentional with like what music I'm listening to. So like even if someone else is in my car, like I turn on, like it's my Spotify playlist, it's Jesus Loves You, that's the title. And so like I turn it on, and it's like not even a thought in my head like, oh, I'm gonna play something different, but it's like always on, and people are like, what music do you listen to? I'm like, oh, just playing my Jesus Loves You playlist, you know? Even stuff just like that, like planting that seed too, like even with the music and that kind of stuff, I think is important too.
Yeah, I feel like you've been the second or third person to mention music, and I just think that's so cool because I feel like that's something that I like have talked about a lot, is how music can really affect you and just like your mood and things like that. Yeah, that's just
And I think like even TV shows or books, like I love to read, and like I can even notice like what I'm reading and how that's affecting like my mindset towards like everything else outwardly. So
yeah, I feel like just within like a godly friendship, there's so many different things I feel like that you can look for. But yeah, definitely like one big thing is just like being friends with everybody no matter what. Like you don't have to be like hanging out all the time, that kind of friends, but like be friends with everybody. I think that's something that's really good. And within like a specific, like someone I can think of is like Ava Lowe. Like maybe like having like accountability with them for like reading or something like that. Or just like that you guys are able to talk about the Lord without like having to like, all right, like let's do this or whatever. Like you guys can just kind of have that conversation like easily and it gets brought up. And just like another thing that like would describe a godly relationship is just like the things that you're like doing, like those being glorifying to the Lord as well. So like obviously I mentioned like you can go to like Bible studies and you can go to church together, you can like do different things, but then like also like I also said, like I said, like going like swimming or something, just like being able to like hang out and have a good time, but like not have to do bad things to have a good time with those friends.
Yeah, like everything, I don't think everything you're doing like necessarily has to be like, oh Jesus, we're doing this for Jesus, we're doing this for Jesus. Yeah. But just being able to hang out, like being able to have that friendship outside of just talking about Jesus, but not like not going against like the commandments and that kind of stuff.
Okay, but yeah, also I feel like even just like like your friends being there for you like through like your hard times and everything else, I feel like it's something that I definitely look for in a godly relationship, like somebody to be there for me, like no matter what happens or whatever I'm going through, for them to be there for me. And it's really cool just like seeing the fruits of that throughout even like my life, because I mean I feel like Ever and Ava, like them two, I don't know, I love them so much. But I feel like they have just been, like, they are, like, one of my most, like, godly friendships, like, ever. Like, I don't know. I feel like they always are, like, there for me no matter what. And even, like, today, like, Ever would, like, ask if I wanted to go play pickleball or just, like, different things like that. I feel like he's always, like, thinking of me and texting me about just random things. Hey, how are you doing? Or, like, different things like that. And it's just, like, I know that he's always there for me no matter what. Like, Ever specifically. Like, I know that he's always there for me no matter what, which is really cool.
Yeah, I think it means more to, like, a person if someone's like, hey, how are you doing? Checking up on you, rather than just, like, never texting you or just Snapchatting you and stuff.
Yeah, and then, like, also, like, having those conversations, like, not just, like, oh, like, we're gonna hang out this weekend or whatever, but, like, also throughout the week and whatever, like, you're just day-to-day life, like, talking and, like, having conversations.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, like, even if it is that something simple as, like, oh, hey, how are you doing? Oh, I'm good, like, this is what's going on, whatever. Like, okay, well, I'm praying for you. Like, it could be a 3 text message little thing, and that's all. But, like, it's just, like, so meaningful.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it's really nice to have that kind of friendly relationship. And I feel like whenever I, like, I don't know, I just feel like from Chrysalis to now, like, I've been able to see so many different things and just, like, what those relationships can, like, build into and look like, which is really just inspiring, I guess. And, like, seeing other people's friendships, I'm like, oh, like, they have a really good godly friendship, like, I want that, or, like, relationship or whatever it may be. It's just, like, I don't know, it's just really cool to see all of that. I don't know, just like the fruits of it, I guess.
Yeah, and I think another thing that's super important, like knowing that no matter what's happening in your life, like you can go to them and tell them, like whenever we went through like our first flight of Discovery, I actually like continued to text Lane St. Clair after and was like pray for me for this, and like I know that like there's people who like will talk to me and pray for me no matter like what's really happening in my life. And I think that that's so important to like have in a friendship, no matter what stage of friendship you're in. Like I think just being able to like talk to someone about that kind of stuff is really important, even if you don't talk to them every day.
Yeah, we've kind of brought this question up, but just the difference between like having a regular friendship and a godly friendship, and like how has that made a difference in your life?
I think my godly friendships like definitely build me up, keep me happy, keep me going. Whereas like my ungodly friendships would like bring me down, like make me upset or something I'm doing wrong and that kind of stuff. Talking bad about people especially, I feel like that's so hard. And like in ungodly friendships, you can definitely see that like a lot. Like always talking bad about someone, no matter what. Like
especially like our age range of and
it's definitely not like, obviously it's not positive, you're not talking positive about someone most of the time, so but I had a couple verses down that just, I don't know, they were good verses that I thought I wanted to share. So the first one is Psalms 133 verse 1, and it says, behold, how good and pleasant is it when brothers dwell in unity. It's just really cool to see whenever brothers and sisters in Christ just kind of get together and just
we're all glorifying the Lord as one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially because, like, our friend group is really big, I feel like. And just seeing everybody, just, like, everybody is doing different things in their lives and things like that. But, like, whenever we get together, like, I feel like, I don't know, we just have a really good friend group. And I feel like I definitely got blessed with that.
Yeah.
Just my grade, I feel like there wasn't, like, yeah, there was, like, that little party crowd. Like, there was a couple, like, there's a couple girls specifically I'm thinking of, and I'm sure you know who they are. But, like, obviously there was their crowd. But then besides that, like, we didn't really have, like, a big, like, we didn't have, like, a big party grade or anything like that. Like, we had a good class of people, which made it a lot easier on me. Like, Ava Lowe, like, I don't know, like, she just, like, yeah, there is some good people in her grade, obviously, but, like, most of that senior class that just graduated, most of them were party people. Like, not even just North Posey. I feel like a lot of schools, they had...
Yeah, the whole class, everywhere.
Yeah, like, the whole class of 24 high school class, just... Yeah. And it's, like, it's kind of sad because even, like, modern day, like, they were all party people, and that's literally, like, a Catholic school.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Mm-hmm.
It's so sad to see that because I feel like if you think modern day, like, an outsider would see the school and be like, oh, yeah, they're all, like, good little Catholic kids. But, like, knowing modern day, like, when I think modern day, I just think big party kids. I don't think any religious people at all, like, out of there. Like, obviously there is, and, like, there's still good people everywhere. But, I don't know, it's just so crazy. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
That just kind of reminds me of, like, people, like, putting on, like, a front. I feel
facade, yeah.
Oh, yes. I feel like it's so, like, nowadays there's so many people who, like, come off and pose as this big Christian person, but then once you get to know them, like, they aren't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nothing that they do, like, sometimes they'll even be, like, drinking and things like that underage, which, like, obviously if you're of age or whatever, just don't get, like, drunk, but, like, if you're drinking, it's fine. But, like, underage drinking, but, like, they're posing as, like, a Christian and all these things. I'm like, what? Like, make that even make sense because, no.
It doesn't, right.
Like, you're literally just rubbing people the wrong way and showing them Christianity in a bad, like, you're giving it a bad rep, I guess.
Yeah, and also on that, like, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody treats someone, like, poorly at times, and you obviously don't mean to, and that kind of stuff. But, like, I think a big thing, like, one of my Jesus Loves You shirts, it's like, I'm sorry if someone misrepresented Jesus to you. Like, I feel like that happens so often, and, like, Christians don't mean to, like, do that a lot of the time, but then, like, also people are also so, like, pushy with Christianity and stuff sometimes, and, like, you know, like, it's you don't want that shown all the time.
Yeah, I feel like there's just, like, a balance between, like, there is those people who behind the screen or behind whatever, they aren't necessarily a good person. And then, like you said, obviously everybody makes mistakes, nobody's perfect, but then there's the people that, like, are just good people, and, like, obviously they make mistakes, but, like, they're just, I mean, they're good people. And then there's the people that are like, oh, Christian, like, there was this thing today I saw, there's this, like, YouTuber I watch, and she had posted something on her Instagram story. It was, like, some, like, pride parade, whatever, and somebody slid up and was like, what did she say? Something in Jesus' name, like, saying that, like, these people were going to hell or whatever, and I'm just like, okay, yes, but, like, you don't need to, like, say that.
Right.
Like, we know that, like, whatever, like, it's fine, but you don't need to be, like, aggressive about it. Like, there's no need for that.
Right, yeah. And I think a big thing that you said about unity, too, like, my church, we recently just had a worship night, and I think it's, like, so cool, like, to see people from, like, all different schools, all different backgrounds. Like, my pastor's daughter recently just came back from South Africa. She did a YWAM mission trip, and there were girls that came down from Michigan that were on that with her that, like, came down to, like, be in our worship night, and then, like, people from all ages were there and that kind of stuff. I think that's so cool, like, being able to, like, host something like that and seeing people from all different backgrounds just coming together and praising the Lord. I think that's, like, so amazing to me.
I saw somebody's video, and I was just like, seeing stuff like that is so cool, and it's just so, like, refreshing.
Yeah, and we, like, there was one girl who prayed, Madison Lee, she prayed for, like, every single school. So, like, I think it was so cool. She was like, I want everybody to pick out a different school through Evansville. And she, like, listed all the names out. And she was like, I just want everybody to pray for, like, revivals to happen in the school and that kind of stuff. Because, like, high school systems are sometimes really rough for, like, Christianity and stuff.
Yes.
So I think that's, like, really important that we make sure that, like, no one's left out.
Yeah, and it's, like, hard sometimes at schools, especially for, like, teachers and things like that, because, like, they can't really talk about, like, they could risk their job for that. So, like, seeing teachers step out and, like, talk about things like that is, like, really cool to see, because, I mean, obviously, like, a school like North Posey, like, you're not going to get in trouble for that.
Right.
But, like, some other schools, like, you could get in trouble for that. And I remember, whenever I was in We the People, I remember one of the cases, actually, they, like, it was a court case because they had, like, a Bible verse or, like, I don't remember exactly what it was now, something up on the wall, like, in the auditorium, and, like, that, like, they weren't supposed to do that because of, like, the system and, like, whatever. And I'm like, what? Like, they can't even put, like, a freaking Bible verse on the wall? Like, what?
Yeah, it's crazy.
But then also, like, I'm like, okay, well, somebody can get in trouble for doing that, but the dollar bill literally says, "In God we trust."
Yeah.
Like, what? That doesn't even make, like, the whole nation, country, whatever, like, was founded on that. It literally says, "In God we trust." We were founded on, like, obviously not just religion, but, like, we were founded on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah, like, everybody is saying that.
Yeah. And I think people, like,
One
don't
nation
realize.
under God. Like,
yeah.
what? I was singing it in my head.
Yeah, but, like, I feel like people don't really think about that. They're just like, oh, yeah, I don't believe in God and that kind of stuff. But, like, our entire country was founded upon those principles, you know?
Yeah, like, what? That just doesn't even... And, like, obviously, when the whole country was founded versus now, I mean...
Right.
I mean, the people have changed a lot and different things. But, like... We were built, like, if you weren't allowed to put a Bible verse, like, on a wall in school, if you could get in trouble for that, then, like, switch the dollar bill. Like, obviously, don't switch the dollar bill, because, like, I like that it says that. But, like, you know, like, if you're going to get in somebody for trouble for doing that, then, like, why? If
you're going to fight about that, then why aren't you fighting about all the other things, too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, there's so many, like, atheists and things. Oh, my gosh. I feel like a couple months ago, like, my whole just Instagram Reels was, like, people, like, atheists and people who were saying, I'm not going to be religious anymore, I'm spiritual, and, like, all these, like, different things. And I'm like, what? But, like, they would argue about, oh, this and this and this, but then why are we not arguing about these other things?
Right. It's like people, everybody, my dad always says everybody wants to be offended. Like,
yes, oh my gosh,
somebody wants to pick something out to be offended about, and so then they can, like, make that, like, oh, you offended me because you did this, but, like, everybody wants to pick out something to be like, oh, you do this, I don't do this.
Well, like, everybody is going to get offended by something that somebody does anyways. Like, we've already said this, like, nobody's perfect. Everybody's making mistakes. Everybody lives different lives, you know? Like, I mean, yeah, everybody is going to get offended. But, like, also another thing, while I'm just thinking of, like, I keep thinking of, like, gay pride stuff. It keeps coming in my mind. But, like, okay, also, let me start by saying this. I literally have a friend that's lesbian, and I love her to death. She's an angel. Like, I'm not gonna, like, obviously she knows I don't agree with what like, her lifestyle and whatever, but, like, we're literally, like, really good friends.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, just, like, that whole, like, movement of things, I feel like they were, like, very, like, pushy and, like, in your face about things, and, like, what I was gonna say is, like, why, like, there's a whole gay pride month or whatever, like, this whole month of June is, like, Pride Month, but then we have Veterans Day.
Memorial Day.
Like, why do we have one, like, we have Veterans Day and Memorial Day. Memorial Day is for the dead ones. Veterans Day is for all of them. Why do we have those 2 days? And then for the people that are serving our country, fighting for our lives, they're literally protecting our country. And then we have a whole month for people. Oh, I'm gay. I like guys. Or like me saying I like girls. Like, why is there a whole month to celebrate that versus 1 or 2 days to celebrate veterans?
Yeah, I think, and April always says, hate the sin, not the sinner, and that kind of stuff, which is so true, you know?
Yes.
Like, you can not like the sin at all, but that doesn't mean, like, the person who's committing those sins that you, like, can't be friends with them, or you can't love them regardless, and that kind of stuff, which, like, I feel like underage drinking is, like, really big, like, in high school and stuff. Like, I don't agree with people underage drinking at all, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to be like, I can't be friends with you because you went out and drank yesterday or something.
Like, there's so many people, I love them so much, like, yeah, they do things like that, but, like, we're really good for, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna be like, I'm not talking to you, or I'm not, whatever. Like, no, like, love on the people still, you know what I mean? And, yeah, I don't know. But, I mean, it's just cool to see how, like, you really can be friends with everybody. Like, I literally just said, like, she's literally lesbian, but, like, we're good friends, and she's really nice, and I met her through the rowing team, and I love her, and, I mean, we don't have to believe in the same things, and that's okay.
Right,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, okay, this is a really long couple of verses, but I'm going to read it anyways because, I mean, I thought that this actually was a really good one, and this, like, kept popping up. I feel like, okay, so it's from John 15, verses 12 through 17. You guys better brace yourself. I don't know if you're watching on YouTube, if you can see this, it's really long. All right. My command is this, love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends, if you do what I command. I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I have called you friends. For everything that I learned from my Father, I have made known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit that will last, and so that whatever you ask in my name, the Father will give you. This is my command, love each other. And one of the things I also thought of just preparing for the podcast is, like, Jesus is our ultimate, best, godly friendship ever. Like, obviously, like, he's God, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, that just example of him and the way that he loved on everybody is a good example of how to have those godly relationships, I feel like.
Yeah.
And just, like, him, like, with the disciples and, like, all the things like that. It's really cool, like, reading those stories, and you're like, how can I, like, incorporate this into my life? I guess just the way that he treated everybody with love and respect and kindness and patience and good, like, all the fruits. But I feel like that's just, like, the ultimate example. Like,
right, yeah.
Yeah. Like, if you're looking for what is a godly friendship, look to Jesus. Like, find that relationship with him first, and then godly relationships will, like, come up throughout your life, which is, I don't know, it's just so cool. But, like, also, like, obviously we've said multiple things that, like, represent a godly relationship, but also, like, look to Jesus first ultimately. I feel like that's just, like, like, that needs to be at the forefront of everything. Like, look to Jesus first. Make sure you're getting in the Word and learning about all of these different things, because we can talk about it all we want, but, like, obviously we're not covering everything. We're not covering near everything at all. Like, I mean, we're just kind of covering things that we've kind of been through and, like, seen in our lives, but there's so many different things. I mean, yeah, and those, like, friendships are seen all throughout the Bible. Like, there's so many different examples of all the different relationships. And, yeah, I feel like one thing I like to do whenever I'm reading is, like, how can I, like, apply this to my life? Like, application. Because, like, reading a story, it's like, oh, yeah, that happened, that's cool, but, like, how can I apply that to my life and situations in my life?
Yeah. Like, the Bible's not just a book.
Yeah.
It's, like, what you're supposed to do, you know? Like, you read normal books and you're just like, oh, that's funny, that's cool. Yeah. But then, like, you're reading the Bible and you're like, wow, now, like, how can I use this to, like, affect other people and help other people, too? Yeah,
whenever I first started, like, right after Chrysalis, I always refer back to, like, right after Chrysalis, because I feel like I knew so much, but also I knew nothing. Because, like, there was just so much thrown at you, and you're just like what? Especially me, because I just, like, I, like, grew up in the Catholic church, stopped going to church, like, 4th grade. So 4th grade to senior year, like, I believed in God, but, like, I didn't do anything about that. So I literally was just like,
you weren't pouring into your relationship with Jesus.
Yeah, so, I was just like, what? So I don't know. I feel like it was just so cool. just learning how to study scripture. And I still, like, there's still things, like, I struggle with, obviously. I literally had a whole episode about it. But, like, and, like, things I don't know. And I've said this multiple times, but, like, I will, like, use, like, the compare on the Bible app, or I'll text somebody, hey, what does this mean? Or, like, different things like that. And, like, obviously not one person is going to know everything, and not one person is going to be perfect or make no mistakes. That's just not going to happen. That's just not realistic. And throughout any friendship, like, there's always going to be struggles. There's always going to be, like, something that you guys might go through a rough patch, or there may be something, like, throughout the school year. Obviously, like, our friend group, we were all at different schools, so we weren't really, like, talking to each other as much. And then, like, it's just really cool how we were able to, like, be back best friends again. Also, like, after that long period of time. I feel like that's another thing, too, is, like, no matter what happens, no matter what amount of time you don't talk to each other, you guys can just pop right back in like nothing ever happened.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot recently with one of my friends that, I mean, I don't talk to someone for, like, a year, 2 years even, and then, like, you talk and you're like, hey, like, how's it going? And that kind of stuff. And it's like nothing's ever changed. And I feel like that's how you know, like, you have a true friendship too, you know?
Yeah. I feel like, that's a really good thing with that, with any kind of, like, friendship. It doesn't, like, even for people, like, if you're not a Christian listening to this, that's awesome that you're listening to this. But, like, even within your relationships with your friends, just, like, being able to pop right back in no matter distance what happens. Or time. Yeah. It's just, like, so cool. I don't know. I just, like, kind of, because me, like, I don't know, we were just kind of talking about it, me and Ever were, and we were like, because I feel like we talked the most out of the whole school year. And we were like, you know, like, the dynamic of the friend group is going to change. And, like, it has. And, like, some things, they are different because, you know, we all experienced a whole year of life without each other, really, and, like, making new friends and things like that. But still, like, even if the dynamic is a little bit different and the people are different, obviously we've changed within a year. But just how easily we're able to, like, be besties again and, like, go do, like, the stupid things together. And, like, the boys, you know, they're always being silly, and they're easy, like, they, like, after a whole year, they're already being silly together again. And it's just, like, I don't know, it's so cool. Like, I just think so love too. I don't know, it's been really cool. I just really like it. And I don't know. I mean, our friend group, we just kind of do anything and everything together. I feel like today they were talking about going and playing pickleball and things like that. And, like, the boys will go bow fishing all the time. Yeah. And just, like, oh my gosh. I don't know. It's just a really cool. What I was saying is, did you see Max's big fish the other day?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, look at this fish. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so big.
Max, if you're listening, your fish was humongous, and
nice
he
catch.
did it, like, twice. He got, like, 2. He did it once, and then he did it another time. So
that's insane.
Yeah, the Lord was working on that one. He got you good big fish.
But I think that, like, another thing too, like, whenever I transferred schools, like, I was really scared that, like, I wouldn't talk to anyone that I went to school with. And I think I talked to, like, 2 of the girls the most still. And, like, I feel like it's so crazy because, like, I can, like, Avery Kelly, like, I don't hang out with her for so long, and then
she's an angel.
We go hang out, and it's like we're, like, so close, and it's, like, crazy because sometimes I won't talk to her at all for, like, months, and then sometimes we talk a lot for, like, a week or so. But I think it's just crazy, like, how, like, that happens, and, like, that's on purpose too. Like, God does those things on purpose.
Yeah, her brother is just like that too. Like, me and Gavin used to be besties, and then we hadn't talked in, like, a while, and then, like, I guess, like, a month ago, probably less than a month ago, like, we started, like, talking again, and, like, I'm just like, we're besties again, like, we can talk about whatever. And he's just, like, I mean, obviously we're not, like, super close, but, like, I don't know, he's just really nice, and, like, he'll talk to you about anything. It's cool to have people like that in your life too. Like, people, like, obviously I have my main friend group, like, Ever, Ava, those types of people, but it's also cool to have, like, those other types of, like, friendships that you're really not around often, but, like, whenever you guys are together, you have a good time.
I think it's also cool because, like, especially since moving, like, I know you moved too, like, early and that kind of stuff, but, like, being able to go through a stage of life with certain people and then, like, switching, like, then, like, these people seeing your early stages of life and these people are, like, in your stage of life now. So I think it's crazy, like, still being able to, like, talk to those people at your past stage, then, like, being able to see how you guys are different and how you guys still are the same, and, like, still being able to be friends with those people regardless. So
I didn't even think about that because I switched schools in, like, 4th grade. So even like one of the guys, oh my gosh, I thought about this the other day. It was so funny. So he added me on Snapchat, and whenever like everything was happening with my sister, like I wasn't at school, and I really liked this. I was in 4th grade. I really liked this kid, and everybody from my class like wrote cards to me. And whenever I got his card, it had like hearts all over it and all this stuff. And I remember freaking out because I was like, oh my gosh, I've liked this kid for so long and he's just now telling me and I'm moving schools or whatever. And he had added me on Snapchat the other day. But low-key, I think he got hacked because the way that he Snapchatted me, I'm like, this is a hacker.
What's your number? If you get a text from someone that says, what's your number? It's probably a hacker.
Oh, what?
I've gotten 3 text messages now.
What's your number? A text?
Yeah.
Or a Snapchat?
A text on Snapchat.
Oh, on Snapchat.
Yeah, it's like a chat. It's like, can you send me your number? Don't send them your number. You're going to get hacked.
Oh my gosh. There's so many hackers.
Because that happened to Jed the other day, and I was like, what is he plotting? And it was, he had a hacker, so I was like, what's happening?
Oh, Jed texted, but it wasn't him.
Yeah.
Bro, there's so many hacking things. Like Kyle Downey's Instagram got hacked one day, and he like asked something about a favor, and he's like, I don't know who else to ask. I'm like, Kyle would not be texting me. Like, we're good friends, but he would not be texting me about a favor.
That happened to Jessica Glazier, and she was like, can you send me money or whatever? And I was like, yeah, I'd come over and get it. And she was like, I only have Cash App. I was like, you literally live 2 minutes from me. And then I was like, this is why you're a hacker. I was going back and forth with the hacker, but I was
a lot of people do that. That's terrible.
Why are you trying to hack people and get money?
Yeah, what?
I'd be the person to send the money. Like, my mom gets hacked. Can you send me $100? I'm like,
oh, of course,
Mom. Through Cash App? Like, what?
Yeah, Cash App is sketch. I don't use Cash App.
Through Instagram DMs, I'd be like, yeah, Mom, of course. Let me just get right to that.
Yeah, let me just... Oh my gosh.
But
yeah, I don't even know what I was saying. But I don't know. It's just really cool to have godly friendships in your life and just seeing the fruits of that and how you guys can rekindle very easily no matter what happens. I feel like that's something that's huge. And just like also we had mentioned like boundaries within relationships like that. So obviously like there is going to be friendships and relationships whatever that like we said, like there's still people that like drink or whatever, and I'm still really good friends with them. But making sure to set those boundaries is really important. I feel like just setting the ground rules. Like, hey, like you can do these things, but like I'm not gonna go party with you. I'm not gonna go drink with you. I'm not gonna go do this or do that. Like we aren't gonna do this together, and just like setting those boundaries so they kind of know, not like obviously like most people they just kind of know that I'm not gonna drink or know that I'm not gonna whatever, so they don't even ask me. But like if it's a newer person, just kind of setting that boundary, like okay, like we can be friends, but this isn't gonna happen within our friendly relationship. I feel like that's important because if you don't set those boundaries from the beginning, then like you don't know where things could end up. And I remember at the beginning of the school year, there was this guy I was, like, talking to for a while. And, well, not, like, talking, but, like, whatever. And I remember he said something, and it just kind of made me uncomfortable. And I was like, all right, like, we're not doing that. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to set my boundaries right here. Like, this, you're not going to say this. You're not going to do that. Like, whatever. And just like another thing too is like in that relationship point of view, like not friendship but relationship point of view, like if somebody's doing like types of things like something he said made me uncomfortable, like if that happened, then like yeah, you can still be friends, but like you should kind of know like that's not a like good relationship for you.
I think you also have to think like at our age where like I feel like a lot of people like don't really date to marry and that kind of stuff. I feel like that's hard.
So
like
sad.
What you do now really is like if you're gonna date someone now and that's what you're gonna look towards, like you have to focus on what they're doing now, because if you're doing that now, what's gonna happen in 10 years?
Yeah.
You know? I think it's crazy. Like we're so young, but yet we're like grown up and like that's our next stage and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so,
what? Like, literally, Ever and Ava are probably about to, like, be engaged.
Yes.
Like, this year.
If you're watching this, please get married and put us in the wedding.
Ever is definitely watching this. Hey, propose to Ava ASAP.
Put a ring on her finger.
And Ava, let us be some bridesmaids or something. I'll help you take some pictures.
I'll help you make the food.
Oh my gosh, I love them.
But Ever...
Put a ring on it, boy. But yeah, I don't know. It's just cool. Just like seeing different types of relationships and things like that. And then also another thing that has like got brought up like yesterday and today is like timing of things. So just like the family I babysit for, the dad was saying how like they were at some party or whatever one night, like the same thing, and they like ended up passing each other. Like they were at the same party, and the one person was like their friends were trying to get them to like see each other and whatever, but they didn't see each other. They like probably passed each other, like he was upstairs, she was downstairs, vice versa, whatever, and they didn't end up seeing each other. And they both were like, I'm kind of glad because like I'm a different person whenever I met him versus whenever that first time was. And it's just like cool because also this also reminded me because so the dad, he like was trying to set me up with this guy, which is like so weird. Like the family you babysit anyways.
Trying to set you up with your love life.
But no, like they just kind of hinted at it, but like they weren't, but like they were hinting at it. And the guy, like at that time, I think I was still dating Evan at that point, so this was a while ago. And like I had like Instagram like messaged him a couple times because he like slid up on my story or whatever, but then like literally like starting like yesterday, the day before, like we've started like Snapchat and like be good friends. So like I don't know, it's just really cool, even if it's just a friendship. Like it's just really cool to see how like like the timing of things, because like if we would have been friends whenever I first kind of met him, like that would not have been a good friendship, but like now like we might be good friends. So like I don't know, just like the timing of things like that is cool to see as well.
I've also dug myself in a hole and convinced myself that I know who my soulmate is. So
do I know who you're talking about?
No, probably not.
Oh,
but anywho,
yes, I do.
I think
I talked to Ava about it.
No.
Okay.
Ava? No. But anywho,
yes.
I think that like if I would have like, because like we liked each other like a long time ago, so I feel like if that would have like we would have kept talking then, it would be so different now, because like
like you're
we're so different, and we've all both gone through like things that like we wouldn't have gone through in that other case. But yeah,
it's just really cool. All right, well, guys, if you guys have tune back in right now for a little recap of everything that we have talked about. So, first, Courtney gave her 3 words before and after. Do you remember what they were?
1 second. Yeah, they were...
Sorry, y'all.
Before Christ, I was alone, unfulfilled, and unsaved. And then after Christ, I'm surrounded, my life is meaningful, and I'm redeemed.
Yes, so sweet. And then so we got into just a little bit of what a godly friendship looks like, just kind of being loving no matter what happens. You guys can easily kind of rekindle your relationship, being able to go to things like Bible studies together, as well as just having a good time. My example was just like hanging out by the pool together, and not doing those like unholy things together. And then also just kind of being there for you no matter what. And then secondly, we kind of talked about setting boundaries within a friendship or relationship, whatever that may be. Just setting those from the start so you kind of know what you're getting into and the other person knows what they're getting into. That way you guys don't ever cross a boundary and then you have to like be in an argument or whatever else kind of happens with that. And then also just the impact that a godly friendship can have on your life. And it's just really cool to see. Like, obviously, like, we literally sat at the same table at Chrysalis to now. Like, I don't know. It's just really cool just seeing the fruits of all of that. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Super fun. But, yeah, I am very excited for this episode to come out.